Hey, welcome to Vice Grip Garage. I have a 1970 unknown Yamaha Enticer ET250 that hasn't run in 7 or 8 years, and I know that because it's mine, and I want to get it running for my youngest son. He's about 45 pounds, does great on the bigger sleds, but he's not heavy enough to move it around episode. So like I was saying, guy picked this up 7 or 8 years ago for my then littlest kids, and they were actually too little for it at the time. It ran pretty good actually, but I stuck her back there in the trees, and shame on me, I actually just completely forgot about it until yesterday. My littlest one said, hey, I could ride that one probably better because it fits me better. And I pulled this rope probably 512 times. Over an hour I tried to get this thing running and just would not go. Broke little dude's heart, so I threw her on the tray more, brought her down to the shop. So now I gotta get this thing running. He wants to go riding tomorrow, and I think he's right. He does great on the big sleds, but he's got no agility. He just tries his hardest. He can't lean them, he can't rotate them, so this is gonna be a lot better for him. Let's run around it quick and I'll show you this thing. She's pretty beat up, but that's okay. Bent steering. Not sure on the year, 70 something. Maybe one of you guys can help me out. And I know on the Yamaha Enticers, it's how the vents are kind of stacked up on here. So someone knows the year, put it down there. I can't remember. But yeah, it's the, the ET250. But she's a little guy, because if you look at the Skeeter over here, isn't this cool, by the way? Moses. This is also a 250, much bigger sled, right? This is just a little guy. He's going to do much better. Was last registered, I guess, in 96, but like I was saying, I got it running 7, 8 years ago. We got it from a feller out of his shop, and it ran, decent-ish, but my kids were just knee-high to a grasshopper back then, so I thought I'd save on it for a year or two, and that turned into a bunch of them. But I mean, it's got dents and dings, and the push bar is bent. This side's just smashed up. Reminds me of Jeff Gordon. I mean, it's hit everything out there except the winter circle. Windshields, probably a tree or something, who knows. Missing some vents in here. Track is pretty well shot. The high facts look good. Another issue is the track is stuck. You can actually see, or I just drug it in here and it just drags. It's not rotating. So I got to take a look at that. That was never an issue before. Throttle moves. Brakes seem okay. Got the cold modulation lever still on there. That's been hanging on for years, actually. Keys in it, still on. That's probably from yesterday trying to start this thing. I have a feeling, just like any snow machine, if you don't winterize them, which includes taking the fuel make it happener off, cleaning all that out, putting everything back together, it ain't gonna start next season. So I'm almost positive the needle's stuck in this as well, and I've never torn into one of these. So this is gonna be something else. There's some sort of alien box with wires hanging out of it that's got to go. This is in the way. I think that's got to flip up. And then way down in here is the fuel make it happener. Just a little one lunger right there. Everything else is pretty much stock. Had some fiberglass repair on the hood. And I'm not sure if this is factory spray or if that's, she's even got the insulation on her. But no Mises, that's great, I guess, so far. I did pour in a couple gallons of bad gas from the lawnmower from 2 seasons ago. So that's in there. We might put a couple more gallons in. The disc brake here, we'll have to clean that up. If we get it running, which I'm pretty sure we will, we'll go around it and try to maintenance everything. Got to try to fix this toe end issue. And then all over the sled, I don't know why, just every nut and bolt and screw is just loose on this thing. So just got to tighten everything down. My biggest concern is the track, and I'm wondering if it just wasn't frozen, because all that's coming from. Step 3 is always just start digging in, remove a bunch of stuff, forget where it came from. And that's after the all-important step 1 and 2, which is cold snack, engage, and forget what you were doing. Wow, how does this even, what is that? I've just never seen. What is, hey! There's a pin down here. I mean, I knew that. I was just trying to. Belt looks bad, that's gonna slip, so we'll forget that. The sheaves are pitted. Also forget that. Track's turning now. So she must have just been froze up. All right, well, I'm gonna keep digging in here, get this air box out. When I get her tore down to the fuel and air atomizer, I'll let you guys know and get you in here, because I don't even know, there's cables like this everywhere, and I am confused. I got updates. 14 hours later, I got the air box out. And the old squirrels, they were slightly busy. That's just from when it hit the ground. There's a bunch more in there. Had to tilt the steering rod all the way over to wrestle that out, and then there's some bracketry down in there too that goes into the old glove box that needs to be slid back as well. This is really well designed is what I'm getting at. Got the boot off, and there's the straw to my huffing gas I sprayed in there violently yesterday, and that was looking very dirty. And I probably sucked in about 97 acorn shells. Great. I think I'm just going to take it off the whole thing. We got some sort of rottage down here, some sort of linkage over there, some sort of cableage here. I think that's the choke. I don't know. I'm going to take the whole thing off at once. My mitts, they're just not made for this. They're too big. Finally got it out. A little bit of good news. Looks fairly clean in here. I don't see any evidence of anything getting into the engine. You can actually see the connecting rod there. And I'll roll it over. There comes down the piston. Comes back up. So that's where your fuel mixture goes in, lubricates the bottom end, gets forced up to the top, and that's where she, ignites. Pulled out the sparkulator, take a look, and oddly enough, first of all, it's heavily fouled. Secondly, it does have a fuel mixture on it, and it wasn't wanting to fire. So we might have to test the sparkulator. Cap's a little bit loose on it too. I might try to, there's a little spring in there. Sometimes you could bend that back out so it snags down on the tip a little bit harder. This has an automatic oiler. That's what this little guy here is. And there's an armature on it. And based on where your throttle is, it will request more oil. And this goes over to the 2-cycle tank here. And that gets injected right into the intake right here. That's this little hose. That goes down to the oiler. So you have fuel coming in, hits the old oil on the other side. They mix together and make the magic happen. This is definitely due for a cleaning with some bad varnish. A lot of that's due to the acorns and all the other stuff in there. But I'm going to try to clean up down in here best I can. This fuel line is just rock solid. I'll probably at least replace this. There's a fuel shutoff right over here. This is the old crankcase pressures there, and then of course choke. Some digicals down there. Hopefully we don't have to get back in there. I should probably test for spark before I get too far. I don't want to put all this back in here and we have to get back down in here for something. But I'm going to start by throwing this up on a dirty bench and taking it apart. See if we can get this thing freed back up. all cleaned up. While she's out, I went ahead and replaced the oiler line. This is nice and clear and it's more flexible, but mainly it's clear. On oil injection units, it's a really good idea when you fire up your sleds. Take a gander in here and make sure that you can see oil in here. This can get clogged and dirty pretty easy. And you know what happens when you don't get oil to them. Put the old spring boingy thingy back on there, and we're gonna run clamps because that would be neat. This one here is just harder than 5th grade math, and I ain't kidding you. Guys, making some progress here. I did have to scooch her forward a little bit. Leaked 14 gallons of gas on the ground. When I snagged on my new line, she popped off down there and was just leaking, and I didn't hear on it in time. But I got everything tucked away in here. I did have to run this twice. I didn't pay attention close enough, and I had it coming over the pull rope, which eventually you're just going to saw through this. So had the runner back up underneath. Didn't have another one of these plugs in stock, so I just ran it through the bench mounted cheek poker, folded a sheet of 1200 grit sandpaper in half, ran her through here. And then I opened up the gap on it a little bit. Don't know exactly what it is. My eyeball just said, yep, right there. So I'm going to pop this in before we go any farther. I'm just going to squirt some juice in here and see if this thing will at least fire a couple times. Then I don't have to go through the hassle of troubleshooting all the ignition. Then I can button everything else up. I also pulled the rope a few times just to make sure that we're going to be pulling oil down there like I was talking about. And we are, so that's good. So everything's looking pretty decent. This is some mixed gas here, so she won't be banging away without oil. See if I can get her in there. See if I can get her in there. I gotta get her in here. See if I can get it in here. There we go. I don't know. Key on. That looks normalish. Okay, she's gonna run. So now I can just start putting everything back together, and then we'll see if we can get this thing to idle and come back around for us. Well, it's actually the next day. I got out of here in a hurry. You want to see a guy's legs move faster than Usain Bolt, just ring the old dinner triangle and it's gonna happen. Last night I had to bring a car in here in a hurry, and I just, just banged into her, scooched her forward and sideways out of the way. And when I came in this morning, I kind of panicked a little. I thought this was plastic cogwheel, and they're big rocks. And then I got to looking, there's rocks all up in the skis and whatnot, and then I realized where we scooted this in was just a big rock bed. And I think what had happened is these rocks were actually stuck up in the drive wheels. We couldn't see them, and that's why the track was skidding. Had I not hit it with the car at 20 miles an hour, probably wouldn't have jarred them loose, you see. So that was pretty nice. I gotta scooch this out of the way real quick for a minute. I gotta pull the diesel back in real fast, do some maintenance, and then we'll finish this thing up. Bentley's with me today. We're gonna clean this thing up before we ride it, huh? Yeah. Yeah. And then he brought some tape. He wants to keep on the windshield, keep that wind down, So we're gonna try to fix on that a little bit, maybe put some shine on it, and then we'll go for a rip. I might take Lorna out for a ride here, my old Panther, and I got some more of this left. This is what we used on the Skeeter windshield for trim, see? And I'm thinking that a guy, can a guy run this around this and maybe get some more support out of it? I don't know, maybe he can. We'll figure it out. So that's the plan. All right, we got everything moved back around. I got all this put back together last night, I think anyway. Air box, got this back in, glove box thing that doesn't do anything. This has a decompressor, no idea if it works. It's digital, not quite sure what that does, but I'm not gonna worry about that. I think we'll throw some fuel in here. Then the rule around this farm is if you're gonna ride it, you gotta start it, right? So we're gonna see if Bentley can pull this 250 over. It's gonna be tough for him. What do you weigh, 45?
I think I weigh 53 now.
53? Eating a meatloaf. Good job. So we'll throw some old fuel in here. It's got plenty of Earl for now, and we'll see if he can pull start this thing. If not, I'll get it running, get it nice and warm, then I'll shut it down again, and then we'll see if he can get it going. It's not that they ever ride alone, but if he's, you know, behind the house 200-300 yards, he has a better chance of getting it running on his own than walking all the way back to the house. Oh, she's leaking violently. Just keep pouring. If you go fast, the leak will slow down. Probably not. All right, you ready to try to start it?
Yeah.
Okay, it's pretty warm in here, so let's go no choke. Remember to use your leg to push off. Good enough for me, it runs. Do you remember this? You were just a baby when we got this thing. Do you remember bringing it home at all?
I remember it sitting over there.
Yeah, just sitting there. All right, you want to clean it up?
Yeah.
All right. So I think we're going to clean on it a little bit to get all the dirt off. I think I might have an old wool pad. I'll just try to gently get the tops at least. And then I got some ceramic coat spray. We can kind of just put some shine on her. That's what I do with my other old sleds, and it does a pretty good job. And maybe we'll clean the seat off. It's too bad when this was parked, this seat looked brand new, and now she's starting to get some cracks. Dang it, I wish I would have thrown a tarp over it. It's pretty beat up, so I just don't think I thought about it. Oh, and the windshield. Should we do that first? Should we try to fix this?
Yeah.
Okay, go get your tape. Snow machines. Sounds like a Polaris Indy. Yep. What do you think of that?
It looks better.
Oh, it looks better. How about totally awesome, Dad?
Totally awesome, Dad.
Well, this here trim, it's a quick way to add support to something like this. Or if you cut your own windshield like that, you don't want that sharp, jagged edge. But in this case, not only does it add 2.4 horsepower, but it gives her some rigidity because of all the cracks in here. But now this is actually pretty solid. I mean, I can actually lift the hood with it now. Double side tape, just packing tape and ready to rip. And this will keep that wind out of the little guy's face, hopefully a little bit more. He's got her wiped down with the sprayway. I'm gonna go try to find some really old polishing compound that's now mostly powder. And I'll put that on a used dirty wool pad and just see if I can kind of get maybe just the tops. A little bit of shine. We don't need a lot here. Don't want to eat through this custom pinstriping, goodness gracious. And then he wants to throw a GoPro up on here and go for a burn, huh?
Yeah.
Gave her a pretty good shine. Didn't want to dig too much. I did burn through in a couple spots, like, where was it? Right here on the corner. If you're doing this in real life, guys, like on an actual classic sled, do this by hand, take your time, do it in a couple layers, but you know, I did the right thing and just put her up to 87,000 RPM, cleaned her up. Last step I want to do quick is coat her down with the ceramic wax from Sprayway. Sprays on real nice, wipes off real easy, polishes up. It's a water-based formula that contains silica, so this is going to create a hard coat protective layer on there and help prevent some sun fade and keep the shine around a little bit longer. If you want to get your hands on any of these Sprayway products we're using today and many, many more, you can just go over to spraywayautomotive.com. And if you use the code VICEGRIP, you get 15% off and free shipping. That's a deal. I use them literally every day here in the shop and get amazing results. Well, I think it's time we throw some helmets on and test this thing out, huh? You ready? Little machine runs pretty darn good. In fact, Bentley stopped and said, "Dad, this is way faster than the Skeeter." I don't know, fellers, but I'll tell you something. There's a couple things that don't lie, and that's yoga pants and kids. There's an ice storm moving in. We're gonna go hit the ditch down to the trail here, ride for a little bit before she gets slick. Thanks guys for watching. See you next time.